Welcome to Monday. It's the 24th day of March, 2025. Your DayWeather podcast brought to you by ConverseCountyTourism.com. Feel the energy of Converse County. Explore Douglas's Railroad Heritage, Ayers Natural Bridge, and the Jackalope Legend. Glen Rock boasts scenic trails, dinosaur history, and small town charm. Plan your visit at ConverseCountyTourism.com. We're going to start off the week and really go through most of it with just early spring weather. It's just early spring. We're going to have some very warm temperatures for many areas of the western United States, as we see a lot of mild Pacific air is going to get pushed off the west coast and inland. So this is going to lead to some pretty warm temperature readings here for the last week of March. There is a little bit of a system, though, coming off the Pacific coast, kind of the last in a series. That's going to go across the Pacific Northwest, Idaho, Montana, northern Wyoming into the Dakotas today, producing wind and some showers and a lot of high and mid-level clouds today. Where you're really going to notice it getting nice is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow and Wednesday in particular, if there's a couple of days to play hooky, it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday. That'll be the 3 days where the weather will really be quite nice. All of this time, high pressures over the Rockies, we've got this big storm spinning off the west coast. And a piece of that is going to head off the storm system late Thursday into Friday, then head through the region. And it's a classic early spring situation to where you're going to get a little bit of everything, a little potpourri of weather as we get into Friday and the weekend across the central Rockies and the central high plains. We still have major model disagreement in the first week of April, but what's going to happen is that west coast storm, maybe not all at once, but in chunks, will come into the western United States next week. So that's going to cause some weather. Details, stay tuned. But it does look like that first week of April is going to be unsettled. Lots of great cloud photos to show you. Last night in the Casper area, you can see we've got a wave function, a little bit of cloud street action going on with strong winds aloft and mountain waves. Winds aloft are still very strong across the northern Rockies. And that's producing lenticular-shaped clouds and, well, just a lot of texture and a lot of, well, uniqueness in the cloud cover this weekend across the region. Part of that, not only due to the strong winds aloft, but these little Pacific waves adding moisture, adding instability. Kelvin Helmholtz waves right there in Colorado Springs in the Pikes Peak country area. And then a lot of spring-looking clouds. Boy, this was really true Saturday. Some of you experienced rain and snow showers. Some of you may have experienced a little bit of thunder. That's just textbook for this time of year to start to see clouds like this as the atmosphere starting to go through changes as we make that transition from the Sierra Nevada there in Round Valley, California, to the bluffs of western Nebraska. So we're seeing the Pacific influence without a doubt. And boy, along the Bighorn Mountains, Saturday, very active pattern. Look at that. That is a very moist, unstable atmosphere that brought the scattered rain and snow to north central areas of Wyoming on Saturday, but many other areas as well. And in advance of that, nice cloudscape there out of the Black Hills of western South Dakota. And there's another good example of a snow shower moving across the high plains over the weekend. If you want to have a good resource, a hat tip to Jan Curtis for sending me this link. Here's a free cloud book. So download this cloud book. It's an ebook, so you can have it handy to try to help you identify all those clouds you see. Because wonderful thing about clouds is never two are the same. And this is a really good guidebook to be able to help you identify the clouds and try to understand the weather and what's going on a little bit better. The surface chart this morning shows a low in the upper Great Lakes. This is what came through Saturday. It's now spinning up into the upper peninsula of Michigan, producing weather up there. Here's this little wave coming through. You can see showers up here into Montana. This is going to come through, as you'll see in a minute, producing some shower activity and a lot of clouds. So you can see there's a lot of high and mid-level clouds associated with this wave. As it goes through, there'll be a lot of lenticulars, and there's strong winds aloft in this pattern right here. So this is going to make it windy. You can see the shape, though. If you see the arc of the clouds right here going around the high. This is the high building in. So the winds aloft are going up, over, and around the high, then taking a dip into the Great Lakes. So this high pressure dome is going to lead to fair weather. Across the nation, not a lot going on. Yeah, we've got some advisories for winter weather in the Great Lakes and up into New England with that storm up north. These brown areas are for some strong winds at times, but not a lot going on across the lower 48, and that's really how it's going to go for a good part of this week. So this is a much better travel week, whether you're on the ground or you're in the air. There's your big high pressure ridge forming today. By Thursday, the high pressure ridge gets a little bit more centered on the continental divide. Notice, if we back up here, the low does come down the coast, then sits off the coast of Washington and Oregon. This little upper level low here going across Mexico is actually going to produce a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity in this part of the world here later in the week and into the weekend, but it's going to keep the moisture down there. So this is going to be the weather maker as it sits there off the coast of the Gulf of Alaska, stretching south all the way into Oregon and Northern California. So basically through Thursday, it's all about this high pressure ridge. And look at those warm temperatures. These are the temperature anomalies accumulated over the next 5 days. So those tulips, those daffodils are going to shoot up a little bit more. Precipitation. Between now and Thursday, most of this is going to be happening today right here, as well as these showers down here. This is happening today as that wave goes through. This moisture up here is going to be because of that low approaching the Pacific Northwest coast. But you can see there's a lot of other areas elsewhere, just very little going on. There's those showers and thunderstorms over Mexico and into Texas. As we get into the weekend, the low begins to spit off storm systems, little ones. Now, this doesn't look like much, but as this wave gets ejected from the main low here and comes into the Rockies, this time of year, with the longer days, the warmer atmosphere, but still cold air aloft coming in from this system, you get into a very unstable pattern, and there's going to be a good chunk of moisture. This is Friday, noon on Friday. You can see the blue and the green here. The low coming in is going to be bringing in some Pacific moisture. So this is going to produce a mixed bag of rain showers, thunderstorms, and snow in these green and blue areas late Friday, but especially as we get into Saturday. So there is going to be some moisture coming in. It may not be terribly organized because this is not a terribly strong system, but there's moisture, there's instability. So there's going to be some wetness for some of you as we get into the upcoming weekend. By Sunday, that wave then heads out into the plain states where it's going to produce thunderstorms, and it doesn't look like much, but this time of year, these systems that don't look like much get a little bit more energetic, and they do bring in more moisture. The low is still off the coast by Sunday, so it's really not moving, but it's ejecting disturbances eastward. Later on, though, as we get into the first week of April, this large trough then starts to move. And as it starts to move, it pushes in right around the 1st and after the 1st of April. See this high pressure ridge building in the Gulf of Alaska? This is going to want to displace the trough and put it here instead of off the west coast. So the first week of April promises to be, well, pretty busy in terms of what will happen across the western United States, and we'll have long forgotten about the nice weather that we're going to have here over the next several days. Have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.